just a crazy update on this story from Pete Thamel at ESPN. Connor Stalions, the staffer at Michigan who's been suspended in this case, was found to have purchased tickets for over 30 games at 11 different Big Ten schools. And Thamel cited sources from 11 different Big Ten schools confirming that this happened. The NCAA is expected to get evidence that someone using tickets purchased by Stalions was filming one of the sidelines for the entire time, using surveillance. They're going to use the surveillance cameras from the stadium to show someone using their phone to film a sideline for an entire game. So this is not an isolated incident. This apparently goes back quite some time. And if they get that video, they've pretty much got them dead to rights. And what that means going forward is Michigan will be in trouble for this. Jim Harbaugh will be in trouble for this. Because remember, Jim Harbaugh said last week he had no knowledge of this. If this goes back 3 years, that statement becomes less believable. I think it would be an accurate term for that. But even if it doesn't, even if it was entirely true, even if he didn't know, the way the NCAA rules work now, the head coach is on the hook for pretty much anything anyone in the organization does. And so if they have evidence of this happening, and it's hard evidence, which this would be, then they can attach it to the head coach. They can punish the head coach. And remember, Jim Harbaugh already embroiled in an NCAA investigation involving recruiting. That's the cheeseburger gate, where he bought a cheeseburger allegedly for a recruit that was there on a visit during COVID. And it's not really for that he's in trouble. It's for the way he answered the questions to the NCAA. Remember, he served a 3-game suspension imposed by Michigan with the hope that would kind of get out ahead of everything. And that when the Committee on Infractions finally ruled, it would be a shorter suspension or wouldn't be a suspension at all. Now you add this to it. Now, I still think this is one of those situations where it would be nice if the NCAA could act quickly, or if the Big Ten could act in a disciplinary capacity, because again, this is the sort of thing that moves the line. Thamel reported that Connor Stalions had bought tickets on both sidelines for this past week's Penn State-Ohio State game. Remember, the news of this broke last week. So if there was a plan to do something at that game, that plan already would have been in place. So this is one of those things that, again, it's a competitive equity issue. It moves betting lines. Something probably needs to be done fairly quickly on it. But again, it's the NCAA. They don't normally move that fast. But this is very detailed, very in-depth, very interesting. So we will find out what happens going forward. But they will be able to get Jim Harbaugh on this as long as they get that evidence that they're seeking. If they get that surveillance video that shows someone using Connor Stalions seats, filming a sideline of an upcoming opponent, they got it. That's pretty much it. And you can say whatever you want about they don't need to have a rule that says you can't scout upcoming opponents in person. They probably don't. That rule exists because in the 90s when they outlawed it, a bunch of schools were too cheap to do it. But it doesn't matter. That rule exists, and just the whole depth, breadth, and scope of this is amazing. How long will this take? We don't know because, again, it's the NCAA. It does not move quickly. But I will say one thing more on this subject. I hope whoever bought these tickets was using Game Time. Game Time is one of our partners. It is the best way to get last-minute tickets to a game. If you got to get 30 sets of tickets and you got to get them on both sidelines at 11 different Big Ten stadiums, Game Time has all of those tickets. It's pretty tough when you need to get tickets on both sidelines. The beauty of Game Time is when you're in that Game Time app, you can see exactly what your vantage point would look like. So if you are trying to figure out, can I see a team's offensive and defensive signals from this seat? Well, you'll know. So you find that seat, you click it, 2 more taps, that ticket is yours. And use the code STAPLES, you get $20 off your first purchase. So download the Game Time app. Even if you're just going to enjoy the game, let's say you wanted to go see Florida play Georgia in Jacksonville this weekend, or you wanted to see Oregon play Utah in Salt Lake City. and you don't plan on stealing any signs at all, go to Game Time. Use the code STAPLES. $20 off your first purchase. Thank you so much for watching. Just a reminder, subscribe to this channel right here so you never miss an episode of Andy Staples on 3. And oh, by the way, watch all the other great videos on the On3 Sports YouTube channel.